Hi everyone. So I know this is a video after a very long time, and the primary reason why I stopped making videos was because I didn't have much time. I used to record the videos, then like just edit the videos, and and obviously like I used to do all of these things after giving the contest. So it was taking too much time for me, and that is why I stopped making videos. But I really wanted to upload more videos on this channel, and that is why I've come up with this new style of making videos, wherein I'll be trying to like make screencasts of whatever contests I give or the problems I solve, including the problem of the days. And I'll be uploading this screencast, so overall like my work will be reduced and you guys will be able to get the videos as well, right? So this has two major advantages. The first one is I'll save a lot of time, and the second one is you guys will also be able to get an insight into how I think and approach a problem. I try to speak as much as possible while solving the problems, but if you're not able to understand from that, I'll obviously include a brief solution or the summarization of the problem at the end of the video, so you can obviously check that part. Today this is Geeks for Geeks weekly contest 127. Let's see how it goes. So only 3 seconds left. One, and the contest has started. Let me just go to the contest. So right now they have uh, I don't know like where the questions. They have four problems. Earlier there used to be only three, I believe. So this is, they say, in peculiar school the students are admitted on the basis of their strength. The strength of n students is given to you in the form of an array. PT teacher wants to analyze two sets of m students. Help him find the maximum possible difference between the sum of strengths of students in two groups. One student can be part of more than one group. Okay, so we want to form two groups. This is clear. Maximum answer here is 4, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Minimum 4 elements. Okay, 2. Okay, so this one is very straightforward. So I would want to take the sum of maximum m elements and the minimum n elements. So I would first sort the whole array. Then I'll form the minimum answer as, since I want to take I0, I less than n, I plus plus, I will take the minimum elements array of I. Now I want to take the last m elements. So I believe I should start from n minus m, right? So m will be always less than n. Yeah, it feels right. I less than n, I plus plus. Then max will be equals to array of the array of I, right? So I also need to initialize max here 0, and at the end I can just return max minus min, right? This feels right. Let us just compile and see what happens. So compilation error, we get a compilation error, n minus m. So what is the issue here? Are we missing something? Okay, so I didn't put an I here, right? So I'm just taking the minimum m elements and the maximum m elements, and this is somehow wrong, I believe. So what is it? What is the input? So what is the output? Expected output is this. Our output is this. So they are not showing us the driver code. Yeah, here's the driver code. There are different test cases. Should I write it like this and then compile? Maybe. So our output is -1. Let me just print the value of max -1. I don't know, like, is it wrong? Let me just try to print this value and then see what happens. I've sorted the whole array 14 and 15. So I want to return maximum minus minimum. So This is going to be 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. This just feels right. I don't know what is going on. 15 if 5. Okay, so what am I even doing? So this should be M, right? This because we want to take the first M characters, right? So this is right. Now I would just directly want to submit this and see what happens. So I just wrote it wrong here. It should be M here. Yeah. So we have passed the test cases, and I believe this is correct. I hope. Okay. Okay. So I cannot switch tabs. So if I cannot switch tabs, unfortunately, I'll not be able to show you like in writing what happens. So just have to rely on my voice. Given two strings, string 1 and string 2, check if these two strings are isomorphic to each other. Two strings, string 1 and string 2 are called isomorphic. If there is a 1-to-1 mapping possible for every character while preserving the order. So isomorphic, let us understand what they are trying to say. AB XY, cool. Two different characters in AB. Okay, so for A it is equals to X. Okay, so 1-to-1 mapping. Right. So what we can do is, let's say we have a vector and vector of integers, and let's say this is the mapping, right? So now what I would want to do is I'm creating the size of the string n is equals to s1 dot size, right? So okay, now I'm just going to traverse through the whole string and then I plus plus. Now what I would want to do is, so after traversing through the string, so let me just create it as a set. So I have the unique occurrences. Now let's say map of s1 of I minus a, so this is the character dot insert s2 of I minus a. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to store the mapping. So I'm just going to go through all the 26 different characters. If mp of I dot size is greater than 1, that means there are two different mappings for the same character. I'm just going to return 0, otherwise I'm just going to return true. Right, so this feels correct. Let's see what happens. So I'm just also going to, your code did not produce any output. Well, that's strange because object are isomorphic. I'm returning something, right? Why did my code did not produce any output? Is it because of this? Let me just check. Segmentation fault. We have got segmentation fault. I don't know like how they're taking the inputs. So if I take the custom input, I use the example this case. We have been given two different strings. N is equal to S1 size, right? So what I'm trying to do, why the Java exception? So maybe they are running their code in Java. Maybe I need to pass 1 or 3 here. This produces a segmentation fault, expected output 1. So my code is producing a segmentation fault. Yeah, so I know why is it like this. So it should be 26 here, right? So I had to initialize this value for all the characters. So this works now, and let's see what happens with AAB and XYZ, AAB and XYZ. So basically now A has two different mappings, right? So that is why it should not work, but let's see what happens. Yeah, okay, so it's giving 0 output. Let's see what is the submission. Okay, so we got wrong answer. Okay. Oh. So this is because of, I don't know why. Let's just print it here. Cout I. For what output is it? Is it giving like this? I'll just test it. Expected output is 0. Okay, so there might also be a case. What is the length of this string? Is the length of both strings going to be equal or not? For P there is F, for I there is V, for J there is L, for T there is A. I don't understand what is there anything specific? P there is I. I'm trying to understand what they mean by specific order. Maybe if the length is different, a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. The 9 characters here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. There are 9 characters in both of them. That feels just as right. So this issue is, I don't know why am I getting it like this. So these 9 characters are all unique, right? And okay, so maybe it is because of this, because for P we have F here, but for Y we also have F here, so 2 must not be the same. So maybe we can create it like map1 and map2, and then what we can do is map1 insert and map2 will be the just opposite. So maybe we have to make it sure from both the sides, s1 of I minus a, right? So this seems fine now, and I'll have to create it of size 26 here as well. And if mp2 of I dot size is greater than 1, then also I'll have to return 0 directly from here. Otherwise, in case of mp1 I was returning 0, right? So I believe this is the test case that must be failing because of this. Yeah, we get the 0. Okay, so okay, so we get the wrong output here again. The strings can be of different sizes as well. I don't know, like, why are they making such questions? Now this should run. I've made 2 wrong submissions on this problem. Anyways, we have solved this problem now. So let me just move on to the third problem. And they should not be disabling like the tab changing thing. You are given a positive integer a of size n in q queries given in 2D integer error query. Okay, so there will be L1, R1, L2, R2. You have to calculate. Okay, so the AND of some particular range or bitwise or. So it asks you to return the integer array answer of length q. Okay. So I got the question. Basically, L1 to R1 we have to take the bitwise and we have to take its OR with the other range. So let me just give you an idea how this problem works. If you take the prefix in the range L to R, right? Prefix sums, right? So let me just write it first. So I'm just going to create a vector int. So this will be of size n, and so this is a double dimensional vector of 26. Then we have this, right? So let me just create for the first number int I is equals to 0. I is less than what is the value of a of I. So it is up to 10 to the power 9. If I take 32, it should work, right? So prefix of I0 is equals to a of 0 right shift I and 1, right? So if it is 0, if the bit is there, it will be 1, otherwise it will be 0. And for all the other positions, let me just take it from 1. So this should be 0 and this should be I, because we are in the 0th index and we are talking about the ith bit, right? So it should be like this. Now what I essentially do is I is less than n, I plus plus. Now for every bit, for int bit is equals to 0, bit is less than 32, bit plus plus. First of all, I'm just going to do prefix of I bit is equals to prefix of I minus 1, the same bit. I'm just going to take the same bit, and then later what I'm going to do is prefix of I bit plus is equals to a of I right shift a of I right shift the current bit and 1. Right, so what I'm essentially trying to do is I'm just going to take the prefix sum arrays of the bits that are present there. Right, so once I have this, I believe this is correct. Yes, this should work. Now I have q queries. So vector int answer will be equals to q, the size will be q, and I'm just going to process all the queries right now. I plus plus. Right, so let me just create two parts, left and right, and both left is equals to right is equals to 0, and we are just going to calculate it for all the bits. Int cb, let us just say this is current bit, int is equals to 0 bit, let's say, so this should be bit is equals to 0 and bit is less than 32 and bit plus plus, right? So I'm just traversing through all the bits now, and just to avoid any overflows, let me just take it long. Right, now I'll be traversing through all the bits. So L1 R1 will be the two parts. So L1, it says process L1 R1 first, LR, right? So here I am processing for L1 R1. So what will happen if prefix of R, so I believe these all must be 0 base or 1 base indexing. So 2 to 4. So 3 is at, so these are 1 base indexing actually. So L is equals to queries of I 0 minus 1, and R is equals to queries of I1 minus 1, right? So now I'm currently processing for L1 R1. If pre of I bit minus pre of L minus 1 bit, so I'm taking the different values. So I'm counting the number of bits present in the range L to R, right? So if it is equal to R minus L plus 1, that means all the bits were set, only then the bit will be set in the bitwise AND of all the numbers. So I'm just going to do left plus is equals to current bit, right? Now similarly I do L is equals to, so let me just copy this part because it's almost the same. The only change is this is going to be 2 and this is going to be 3. Now I'm calculating the same thing for L2 and R2, right? So if pre of R and bit minus pre of L minus 1, so again, so if L is 0, this should be 0. If L is non-zero value, I'm going to take this, otherwise I'm going to take 0, right? Similarly here also, if L exists, if L is greater than 0, I'm going to take P of L minus 1, otherwise if L is 0 and I take L minus 1, this will be out of bounds, right, for obvious reasons. So I'm just going to take it like this, R minus L plus 1, if the number of bits in this range is equals to this, then I'm just going to add current bit, right? And since I'm just going to a different bit, I'm just going to upgrade it, right? So this way I'll have the left and right. Now I have this for all the bits for the current query. So answer of I will be equals to left or right, right? And at the end I just have to return my answer vector. So I believe this is the correct implementation. Let us just see what happens. We have some errors. N was not declared, obviously. N should be like this. And let's see what we have now. So runtime error. Okay, not expected. What is the driver code? So I just wanted to see if there are any test cases like previous questions where I have to separately. Yep, there are. So I might have to do it like this. Now let me just quickly run this and try. Again, runtime error. Okay, like some of their solutions are in Java, some of their solutions are in Python. I don't know why. Never mind. So maybe. Huh. So what are we trying to do here? Hmm. This might be, I don't know, like why is it like this? Let's try to comment this part and then run. Maybe we'll have some progress. So it's still runtime error. That means I'll have to. Okay, so why have I taken it to be 26? It should be 32, right? Now let me uncomment this. Okay, so your output, we are getting some output, and let's see what we get here. So we get segmentation fault again. Your output is runtime error. So let's see what is happening. This is Q. So queries of 0 1. Okay, so the second query is 1 to 5, right? 1 to 5 is 2 3. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Queries is a 0 1 2 3, right? The indexes are fine. Okay, so left right. Huh. Let me just try to comment this part and then check if it works. So we are still okay. So we get some output. Let me check this part now. So we get runtime error here, right? So there must be some issue with this part. L is greater than 0. If I write it properly here, what happens? It should work still, but okay. So we get segmentation fault here as well. So what is the size of pre? Our size of pre is correct. Oh, this is the line that is causing us issues. So our output is 0 0 0 0 0. This is the line that is causing us some issues. Have we done anything wrong? Pre of I bit. Pre is a 32 bit. That is correct. Pre of R. Let's just try to print L and R here. Let's see what happens. Cout L, and we will print cout R. Right. So maybe we get something of it. This is okay. So we have got 14 here. This should not be 14. This should never be 14. Right. So initially it is 1 and 2, then we immediately get 14 in 1, which should not be the case in any way. I don't know whether they have messed up with some input or not. N and Q is given, then the array is itself given, then the queries are given. Or okay, so this is right. This is the right way of taking the input. Then what else can be the issue here? We are not modifying it, right? Value of I is also limited. Geeks or Geeks always has these issues. I don't know like why their system is like this. 1 3. Okay, so now it works. That was my fault. I should have not taken the test cases like that. Let's just try to do it now. I took it that way because it was causing issues and other problems. So this works now. That means that was correct. Let me take this one more example. So this is 6 2, and then we have 3 7 13 12 14 and 15. The queries are 1 4 2 and 5, and 1 2 2 3 and 6, right? So let us just check what is the output here. The output is coming out to be correct. Let us just quickly submit this and see what happens. So this is correct, right? Time for some celebrations. And we have the last problem now. So let's see what this says. Geek is shopping at a grocery store. He needs to buy n items in all. The price of each item is represented by an array P, where Pi is the price of the ith item. The shop also offers bonus on all items. If he buys the ith item, he can get any Fi items free of cost. Any Fi items, your task is to return the minimum amount of money Geek will need to buy n items. Okay, so this statement means that there will not be a chain. There will not be a chain, but it has to be directly associated, right? So we want to buy at least how many items? N items. That sounds cool enough. And items mean we need to buy all the items. So 5 6 7 8, this seems nice. If we buy like if we buy these two last items, then we get a free item with each of them, and then we can buy 4 items in total. Since we are not getting any items free here, we have to just buy all of them. The value of n is very small, so maybe we can try something like a brute force. Price is very huge, but okay, so we have to take care of long as well. We have to keep that in mind. Price is huge, but the free items are very small as well. So anyways, we'll have to take the current item, right? So can we do it in DP n plus 1 and n plus 1? Let me just better take a vector, because sometimes there are issues with these arrays, right? So we are going to take a DP array. So this is going to be vector int n plus 1, right? And all of the values will be 0 initially. So we have to find the minimum cost, right? We have to find the minimum cost. Okay, so let's say I am I have to take each item. That is a compulsion for me. I am at this position. I is greater than -1, I plus plus, and for int j is equals to 0, j is less than n, j plus plus. So is less than n plus 1. Right, I'll try to keep it this way. So if I buy, let's say long buy or no buy, right? So these are the two cases. Let's say buy is equals to no buy is equals to 1e18. Let's say this is very infinity, this is a very huge value, right? So if I decide to buy the current item, so it will, the final price will be equals to price of the current item plus dp of I plus 1, and since I have bought some items, I also get some free items, so this will be equals to f of I. So this is going to be equals to j plus f of I, right? So these are the items I'm going to get for free, and obviously n. So at max I'll still need to have maximum n free items, right? If I don't buy this, if j is positive, that means I can get a free item, then only I can decide not to buy this, and in this case it is going to be dp of I plus 1 and j minus 1, right? So dp of ij will be equals to minimum of buy comma no buy, and at the end I'm going to return whatever it is 0. I currently have no free items, so this second dimension is going to indicate the free items that I can get, right? So minimum of j plus f of I, this is the number of free items, and n. Let me just compile this and check whether this works. So there are some issues, I cannot take this in. Have I, okay, so this should also be long now. We have to take the same uh, values or the data types. So there is a segmentation fault, n minus 1 I is greater than minus 1, say 0 j is less than n plus. So this is going to be n actually, right? So where is the segmentation fault coming from? I can have n, right? So if I just comment this and check whether this compiles or not. Okay, so we still get segmentation fault. If I remove this, then let's see what happens. Okay, time limit exceeded, that's interesting. So if I just put 1 here, runtime error. Why are we getting TLE in this case? Okay, so I got it now, and I believe this must be the same issue causing. So I'm taking a reverse loop here, but I did not take I minus minus. That is why we were getting it like that. Now let's see. We are getting a wrong output. It should be 8, but we are getting 13. So there must be some issue with it. Okay, yeah, I got it. So the thing is, we can try to avoid these items and leave that items for later. Okay, so this is an issue. I got what is happening. So initially j was 0, and we were not able to skip those items, but we need some way to skip those items as well. So let's just say this is 2 into n, right? So at max, how many items can you be in negative? So at max you can be in minus n. If I replace minus n with 0, I'm trying to do some kind of mapping. If minus n is equals to 0, then 0 will be at plus n, and n will be at 2n, right? So we'll actually need 2n plus 1 here, right? And what we'll do, I is equals to 0, since we don't want to be in debt, that means, so it should be n here, I is less than 2 into n plus 1 I plus plus. So dp of n I should be equals to 0, and these all others will be minus 180, right? Infinity basically. So what I'm trying to do is, initially I'll be at n items, so I'm just trying to map it in some way. So this will be from now 2 into n plus 1. Right, the rest of the things might still remain the same. This should work, I guess. So basically for negative values, I'm trying to map it in some way. Right, so this gives the correct output. And let's just see it. For this, it will obviously work correctly. 0, 0, 0. Since we are not taking any values. So yeah, let me just try to submit this and see what happens. Okay, so we are getting wrong answer. And let us see what is the reason. So the correct output is actually 16. We are getting 20. 16, 20. Basically here n means we are at 0. N minus 1 means we are one item negative. And 0 means we are at n items negative. Oh shit. So I made a blunder right here. So it should be 2n, right? Okay, so I made a blunder here. So now I changed all the limits, but I didn't change this one. Okay, that was a mistake on my end. I believe it should work, and it does. So that is it for today, I guess. I made some mistakes, but yeah, we were able to solve all problems, and that is what that matters. So we finished this test. Can I still remain in the test? Okay, so I'll not be able to like show you as I believe. So let me just I'm just trying to remember the question somehow so that I can explain you. So here what we tried to do was first m and last m. So this was this question of this type. And the second problem, let me just write down these problems. So the second problem was isomorphic. Third, I made some mistakes in this problem. This was min query. Okay, so L2R and then L2R again and, right. So this was the whole question. Minimum price was we get some items for free basically, right? And we can go into debt. So that is something we have. So I can just finish this test for now. If I just continue, full screen should not be compulsory. I don't know why are they having full screen. This should not be the case in this type of contests, because you should be like able to view all the values. So I don't know where am I on this leaderboard, but anyways, the contest was okay. Can I exit my full screen now? Okay, right. So the recording is still going on. That's good. So let me just quickly share what was the contest all about. The first problem wanted us to find the maximum difference, right? So we had an array. So this is going to be the first problem. We can take the first m terms and we can take the last m terms. Since both of the groups can have intersecting elements, so this particular element can be both of the groups. So basically we just had to take the first m terms, the last m terms, and the difference would actually be the maximum difference. This was the whole question. So can I view the questions now? Okay, right, great. So I can view the questions also, right. So I didn't know this. So this was basically the first problem. It was not very difficult. The second problem was isomorphic. I really didn't like this problem just because they had lot of base cases here, and I made a lot of mistakes. Anyways, there are two strings given, right? So what they're trying to say is, if you take this particular example, you see AAB and XXY. So AAB and X and Y. So you see for A we have X, that means A is mapped to X. Similarly for A we have again X. So you see A here only has one mapping, that is X. Similarly B here only has one mapping, that is Y. So these kind of strings will be called isomorphic. But in the next example, if you see here A, B and X, Y, Z, right? So A, B and X, Y, Z we have here. So A is mapped to X and A is also mapped to Y. This is the case. So now A here has two mappings, X and Y. This is not allowed in isomorphic mapping. That is why this answer should be no. There is one more very important thing. If let's say A is mapped to Y and B is mapped to Y as well, this is also not isomorphic, which I discovered later through a long test case, and this is also something that you need to take care of. So the mapping should be unique for both of the ways, right? And obviously if the size of the strings are different, I expected them to give two strings of same size, but they did not. So if the size is different, if these sizes are not equal, then obviously the answer is going to be 0 or false as well. So this is the condition we checked first, and then we create two maps basically, right? Both of those will be of 26 size. And what I'm just basically trying to do is, if the size is equal, for the first mapping, I'm just storing, okay, for this particular character, I have this particular character. So I'm just converting those characters into integers, right? So what I'm doing from S1, if I have some character, let me just move it somewhere. So if I can just write, and if I can just do it like this so that the code is visible as well, right? So what I'm saying is, if there is a character in A at the ith position, I am mapping this character at the same position, right? So for this particular set, I am inserting some character to it. Similarly, if I am doing the same thing for the second string as well. So for example, B from B to A, like this, right? So at the end, if any of the sets has a size greater than 1, that means there are two different or two unique mappings. In that particular case, my answer will be no, or I can just directly return 0 from there. Otherwise at the end I can always return 1. So this was this problem, and the next problem was min query. So this was also not very difficult, I would say. This was a medium level problem, and what is essentially happening is, there are L1 R1 and L2 R2. So let me just move it just the right side again, and I'll just expand it a little bit first, right? So what is essentially happening here is, you will realize, if I'm taking the bitwise AND of some range, if I'm taking the bitwise AND of some range, and there are some characters here, right? So under what condition will the ith bit of the final result of the bitwise AND be set, right? So let me just make it more clear once. So I'm taking the bitwise AND of all of these numbers, right? I want to check if the ith bit of the bitwise AND of all of these numbers will be set or not. This is what I want to know, right? So if I can do this operation for all the 32 bits, I'll be essentially able to know what is the value of bitwise AND, right? So for the ith bit, I can know this, that the ith bit in the bitwise AND of all of these numbers will be 1 only if it is set in all the bits, right? So if this number has the 0th bit set, this also has set, this also has set, this also has set, this also has set, and this also has set. So if all of the numbers has this ith bit set, only then in the bitwise AND of all of these numbers, this bit will be set, right? So now what I want to know is, if it is set in all of them or not. I tried to know this with the help of prefix sums. How will prefix sums help me? Let's say it was x here, here will be x plus 1, here will be x plus 2, x plus 3 here, x plus 4, x plus 5, x plus 6, and x plus 7 on the next, if there is one also here, right? So let us just ignore this one for now. So here it is x plus 6, right? Now if I take the summation of all the values in this range, so it is going to be x plus 6 minus x plus 1, so it is going to be 7, right? And there were exactly 7 numbers in this range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 and 3. Okay, so like I wrote it wrong. When you are actually calculating the number of, when you are actually calculating the sum in the range, right? So I do not want to take this particular number, right? I would rather take this particular number. Why? If I want to calculate the prefix sum or the sum in this range, I will take r minus l minus 1, right? This is what we do if I want to find the sum in the range. So this is something I wrote wrong. So it should be x plus 6 minus x. So this is essentially 6, right? Again, there are 6 only elements here, right? So this is something that you need to take care of. Do not subtract this one, rather subtract this number, right? So what are you essentially trying to do is you're trying to find the sum in this particular range, and if this sum is equals to the number of digits or the number of values in this range, that means the ith bit was set in all of the numbers, right? So this was my whole idea, what I tried to do in this problem. So basically for the 0th position I'm just manually setting it, and for all the other positions I'm trying to create a prefix sum array for all the bits, right? So this is what I'm doing here. Now to answer all the Q queries, I have initialized this current bit with 1, so it is essentially going to store the power of 2's. So it is initially 2 raised to power 0, then 2 raised to power 1, then 2 raised to power 2, and so on, right? So first of all I find the first range from L and R, so this is L1 R1, and if, so you see I have included a condition here. What I am trying to do is, if L is greater than 0, then I am going to take this value, otherwise I am going to take this value. The reason is because if L is 0 and I take L minus 1, it is going to be negative and it will be out of bounds or segmentation fault and other errors, right? So that is why you need to take care of this as well. Only if L is greater than 0, then only I am going to take this value, otherwise I am going to take 0, right? So this will calculate the number of bits in the range L to R for the current bit, and if it is equals to R minus L plus 1, then that means I have to add this bit to my current answer. So I am just adding current bit, right? Again, you don't have to add the bit, but 2 raised to the power that bit, that is what I am storing in CB variable, right? So I do the same thing for L to R2 range, and I'm just going to calculate both of the values, and here I multiply it by 2 or left shift the number with 1, so it becomes the next power of 2, and my answer will obviously be equals to left bitwise or right, right? So this is how you can solve this problem and finally return my answer. So let us move on to the fourth problem now. So this problem was actually a simple take or no take DP problem. What they're essentially saying this, if I buy a current item, if I buy some item, let's say this is item X and I buy it, I'm going to get some free items with it, right? And from one of these free items, let's say I buy item 1 and I get one free item with it. If I buy item 2, I get one free item with it. If I buy item 3, I get 0 free items with it. If I buy this one item, I'll get one free, so I take this one, right? But it is not that if I take this one for free, I will also get these free items. It is not going to work like this. So it will not form a chain of a chain or something, right? So it is only going to be useful one time. So what essentially happens is, you are going to decide whether you are going to buy, no buy or buy, right? So this is take or no take DP. You have to decide for each state whether you don't want it or you want it, right? So basically if you buy the current item, then the number of free items that you get will increase by Fi, right? So I'm going to store or create a DP, two-dimensional DP of ij, where I is the current item that you're talking about and j is the number of free items that you are currently having or that you can have, right? So the problem with this approach was, let's say we are sequentially addressing the elements. So this is element 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So if you want to buy this item and with this item you want to take this item for free, right? So if you wanted to do it this way, then it would not be very easy because here your sequence is affecting your answer, right? Similarly, if it was like this, if you wanted to buy this item and want to take this item for free, then if you take the DP in reverse order, in one of the ways the sequence will affect the answer, right? So instead I introduced concept of debt or negative values basically, right? So that means I can take an item for free first and then I can try to settle it later on, right? So the only excuse, I'll drink some water first. So speaking for so long like makes your throat very like that. Anyways, we were talking about this DP states, right? So I introduced this concept of debt. Debt basically means you can take an item for free first and then later settle it, right? But obviously if we are taking an array, we cannot take negative values. So what I did was I tried to map these values. So for example, if I have negative n, I'm going to take it as 0. If I have 0 values, I'm going to take it as n. If I have positive values, that means I can take n more gifts for free, I'm going to take it as 2n, right? So if I'm in negative n gifts, this is going to be 0. If I am at neutral or 0 gifts, it is going to be n. If I can take n more gifts for free, it is going to be 2n. So this is how I shifted the range and created a mapping kind of thing. right? So this is going to be 2n plus 1. And again, I have initialized all the values with infinity. You will find the reason very interesting in a while now, right? So for all the values from n to 2n, I have marked the last value as 0. Why is it like this? So n to 2n is this range, which is I have 0 more free gifts, I have 1 more free gifts, and up to n more free gifts. So if I have extra free gifts, it is no problem for me. But if I have negative free gifts, that means I have taken extra gifts for free that I was not supposed to take. In that case, the answer is still going to be 10 to the power 18. That means it is a very big answer, right? So the only reason I did this was so that these all answers or all of these values become invalid, right? So this was my whole idea. And again, I can decide to take or not take it. If I want to take it, the current cost will be associated with it. I'm going to move on to the next item, and the number of free items or the number of more free items that I can take will be equal to j plus fi comma 2n, right? So excuse me, this 2n, this is something that I missed during the contest. The thing is, this should be 2n because I can take maximum n free gifts on me, right? Anything more than that is not very like reasonable, because at most you can take n free gifts. That is why upper bound of 2n is suitable here. Now again, similarly, if you can take n free gifts, you can also borrow n gifts, maximum n gifts for free. So if j is itself 0, that means you cannot borrow any more gifts, and no buy will be equals to dp of I plus 1 and j minus 1 only when j is greater than 0. And at the end, dp of ij will be equals to minimum of buy comma no buy, and you can return dp of 0 n. So this 0 indicates that you are at the first element and you have not taken any element, and this n denotes that you are currently at the neutral state. That means neither you have borrowed gifts and nor you can take any more free gifts. So this was all about all the problems, and I believe these problems were decent for a Geeks for Geeks contest. So that was it about today's video. I hope that you guys like this new format, and I hope that I'll be able to continue these videos. So till the next video drops, keep coding, subscribe to this channel for more such videos. For tomorrow, I might be dropping the Geeks for Geeks problem of the day as well as the lead code problem of the day if possible. So that is it for today. Keep coding, stay safe, bye bye.